What's going on, guys? It's your boy Jacob from Topside MMA, and in today's video I'm coming at you with my best bets for UFC Baku, Fiziev versus Torres. In this video we're going to break down every single fight on the card from a betting perspective, and I'm going to tell you guys everything you need to know to make your final bets this week. A little bit of a late night upload, about 10 p.m. right now for your boy. We're going to go through this short and sweet so we can wake up tomorrow morning and watch these fights. But let's get right into it. First up, we got Tahir Abdullayev versus Jefferson Nascimento. I want absolutely nothing to do with this fight because both of these guys are taking this fight on short notice. I have red flags for both of these guys. I think they're both decent. You know, I'm pretty excited they added this fight to the card. I think it should be a fun, entertaining scrap. It's just in terms of the betting aspect of this fight, there's not really a whole lot that's standing out to me, especially Nascimento flying from Brazil across the world, short notice, UFC debut. Even though he's fought the higher level of competition, you know, compared to a guy like Tahir, he's the current LFA interim champion, which I put a lot of respect on. It's just, this is a weird circumstance of a fight, so I'm excited to watch it, but in terms of the bets, I got nothing on it. Next up, we got Bekzat Almakhan versus Matsumoto. Now, originally in the week, I was really not looking to have anything on this fight in particular because I think it could go either way. I think both of these guys are decently evenly matched, I guess, in the sense. So I could see either guy getting their hand raised, not anything that's really calling my name. It's not the type of fight that I want to overinvest in. However, there's one little thing that stood out to me. I got in a parlay for this fight we will talk about at the end of the video. So stay tuned for that. But in terms of the singles, I got nothing on this fight. Next up, Daniil Donchenko versus Theodor, Berggren. You know, this is one of those fights, the money line is just wide enough that you either have to parlay up Daniil Donchenko, which I don't love his money line, but at the same time, I think he should win. I think, you know, skill for skill, he is the better fighter compared to a guy like Theodor, and pretty much every single aspect, like I've talked about in previous videos, I do have a couple concerns for the cardio of a guy like Daniil Donchenko. Even we saw in his first round finish that he had 2 fights ago, he was slowing down a bit against Alex Moreno. He was slowing down a bit as well. He really went for the finish early on and kind of slowed down. It's a bit of a concern. I could see the same thing happening again. He is young. He's a bit of a crash out. He's learning on the job. It's just we have to look at the other factors here. This is a short notice step up for Theodor. You know, it's a really big moment for him. Short notice UFC debut. Whereas a guy like Daniil has already gotten those, you know, I don't know, what the butterflies out of his system. Not to say he even had those to begin with. He's an absolute madman. But you get what I'm saying. He's already made that big UFC debut. He's passed that test. Maybe the cardio issue of him kind of going for it too aggressively was because of his UFC debut. Who knows? But I expect the best version of him that we're going to see. He should be a bit more cool, calm, and collected out there. Whereas with Theodor, can't really say the same. This is a big moment for him. Short notice step up. Like I said, I don't really have a ton of confidence in him to even survive, honestly. He might. We've never seen him knocked out before. It's just one of those, you know, there's no real way I could ever consider a bet on Theodor in this spot, even if he were to somehow pull off the upset. It's not something that's calling my name. And for Daniil, I don't love the money line. It's a little bit too wide. I think it's wider than it should be. I think the short notice step up factor is kind of inflating this line a bit. Same with the last 2 performances. Well, I got a little bit of a parlay with Daniil in it, and we'll talk about it at the very end. But in terms of any real action, I don't have hardly anything on this fight at all. But next up, we got Kaan, Ofli versus Javier, Reyes. This is another one. I've thought about taking a stab on Javier, Reyes. It's just the line has gotten too far to the point where I'm like, I'd rather just pass. Because right now, or earlier in the week, it was like minus 170, which I kind of liked. But then it's about, I don't know, minus 230 or something at this point. It's just too damn wide. And I'm like, Javier Reyes is one of these guys I'm really not extremely high on. It's more of a fade Kaan Ofli as opposed to, yeah, Javier Reyes is that guy. So I got concerns for both of these guys. I don't really trust either of them. So for this wide of a line, I'm probably going to pass. You know, the props weren't really standing out to me. Nothing really stood out. So overall, took a skip on this one. Next up, we got Nursulton Ruziboev versus Andrey, Pulyaev. I was looking through the method of finish props for every single fight on this card to see if anything stood out, and there's 2 things that stood out, and this is one of them. Nursulton Ruziboev by submission plus 1,000. I genuinely thought I had the odds flipped on my phone. I was looking through my phone on one of my betting apps, and I saw plus 1,000 by this sub prop. I thought to myself, what in the hell could possibly warrant this? Now, I know it's been quite a while since Ruziboev has got a submission, but I was looking through Andrey Pulyev's record because I was trying to figure out why the hell is it priced this way? Why is this line so damn wide for this type of a fight? Is Andrey Pulyaev, you know, is he just an elite level grappler? I don't know if you guys are even going to be able to say this. This might not be able to pop up. I'm going to pull it over right now. Will this work? Will this work? Can you guys see this? Oh, yeah, you can. Okay, good. You guys can see. I'm going a little dark here, but you can see Andrey Pulyaev. I was doing some research. Man is a white belt in BJJ. The man is a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So why the hell would they have this as a plus 1,000 prop? I have no idea. And unfortunately, I have to take a stab. Now, I saw that Andrey Pulyaev, he was a black belt in Kudo, which is kind of like it kind of encompasses multiple aspects of MMA into one. But it's not the same, though. You know, I do put respect on this, but it's different. You know, they wear headgear. It's a different thing altogether. It's not BJJ, even though it does encompass some grappling. You get my point. But either way, a white belt in BJJ is pretty insane. So for a plus 1,000 sub prop, you know, I had to take just a tiny little stab, 0.1 units. I'm expecting it to miss, but just for the odds, I think there is some value because he could rock Pulyaev. This is the other thing I thought about with this too. It's like Atabagatie hurt Pulyaev multiple times, but he didn't follow him to the ground because Ataba is also a white belt in BJJ. However, Nursulton Ruziboev is not a white belt in BJJ. The man can actually grapple, as we've seen in his past records. So I think it's a different situation. You know, if he rocks Pulyaev, if he hurts him, he will follow him to the ground. He will not be afraid to grapple. So I could see the sub for plus 1,000 odds. Give me those every day of the week. But anyway, next up, Abdul Rakhman Yakhyaev versus Julius Walker. We got some action on our boy Abdul Rakhman Yakhyaev in some parlays. I will talk about, kind of have him as an anchor leg. I know it's juicy, or it's chalky rather. You know, the line is not great, but it's one of those things, like, at the same time, I don't see any clear path for Julius Walker to pull off the upset here. You know, Abdul Rakhman Yakhyaev. It's getting late, boys. It's getting late. Abdul Rakhman Yakhyaev, his striking is a work in progress. However, I compare it to Julius Walker, who 1, has the worst cardio of the two, 2, has less overall knockout power, and 3, has the worst durability. So even if the striking is technically, you know, competitive back and forth, I'm going to trust the man with the better knockout power, or more knockout power, and the much better chin and durability. So, and then besides that, in terms of the grappling, I know Julius Walker, he does grapple a bit. You know, that's kind of like his strong suit, I guess, overall. But I think against a guy like Abdul Rakhman Yakhyaev, there's going to be levels to the grappling. We've seen just how dominant he is. And I mean, what we compare it to Julius Walker, he's, landed a couple takedowns against Rafael Sarkaria. That's not enough to warrant it. And he was getting outstruck in that spot. It's not enough. So for this type of a line, I know he's green, he's young, he's inexperienced, but at the same time, I think the line genuinely makes sense. But in terms of the props, I'm not playing any props. I could somehow see this fight extending. I feel like, honestly, though, the most likely outcome is Yakhyaev's probably going to come out here and probably hurt Julius Walker, and then it's a matter of club and sub, or just a straight knockout. It could be either. Do you take do you take a stab on the knockout or the sub? It's one of those. I'm just not really trying to roll the dice there. I think I'd just rather just play the money line. But anyway, next up, Farman Hasanov versus Nolan. Nolan, most significant strikes landed. This is a prop that I was looking to target, but the damn prop is not out yet. So I don't even know what the odds are. If it's anything decently playable, like minus 170 or below, then I will have a quarter unit on this prop. It's probably going to be cooked if they even drop the damn line. I haven't seen it. I don't imagine it's going to be a great line, though. But if it's anything playable, maybe even minus 200 or under, honestly, I think he will be able to clearly outstrike Hasanov from distance as long as he doesn't get taken down. We'll throw a quarter unit on that. It's just not available. Maybe it's available tomorrow morning. We'll have to see. But anyway, next up. Abus Magomedov versus Mikhail Olazechuk. Now, this is an interesting one. This is a tricky one. Now, I got Mikhail Olazechuk, KO only, sub or decision, no action. That means if there is a submission or a decision, you get a complete refund on this. Now, I have seen this line is actually starting to widen quite a bit. I got it at minus 185, but it actually has gotten it's down to like minus 220 or something. It's gotten worse. People are starting to catch on to it, but I do like this line this week just because he does have a damn good chin. I don't see Abus Magomedov knocking him out. If he gets the finish, or if Mikhail gets finished, it likely would be by submission. I don't see the knockout. So for this line, got a quarter unit on there. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Originally, earlier in the week, I've been wanting to do a little Abus Magomedov pre-fight money line bet, but now I was looking through the same game parlays. I saw, Abus Magomedov and 1+ takedowns landed, same game parlay, plus 150. He's currently a plus 100, just about a perfect, coin toss pick him there, plus 100 odds right now that you could take. But if you got the same game parlay options available, I like this because I think if Abbas is going to have success early in round one, he's going to take Mikhail Oleksiejczuk down. He's going to take him down. He's going to look for the submission. I don't see him knocking him out on the feet. I see the striking being extremely competitive, and I'd honestly give the advantage to Mikhail Oleksiejczuk in round one when he's fresh and explosive. So I think on the feet, Abbas is going to be dealing with some adversity coming back his way. So I think if Abbas looks like a big favorite early on, he is going to come out here and grapple against a guy like Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, who has struggled time and time again with the grappling. The path is there. So plus 150, this kind of covers me in the sense of if Abbas Magomedov comes out here and jumps to a minus, I don't know, 200 or something, a big favorite right off the bat because he's having a lot of success. If that happens, then I will be looking to take a stab on Mikhail Oleksiejczuk live money line sometime in round 1 or 2. This is kind of like we did last week with the blue bets here in the blue color. These are live bets. Now, this one, the first one, obviously, Abbas Magomedov and 1+ takedowns landed, same game parlay. It's going to be placed before the fight starts. I already have this placed. But the only reason I placed this is because I'm looking for the potential live bet hedge. It's not like the first one with the green Mikhail Oleksiejczuk KO only. That's a place and forget. You let that thing ride into the sunset, win or lose. It is what it is. But these two down right below it, that is it's an intent of a live bet there as a hedge, if that makes sense. But anyway, that's why I have this in blue for you guys, just like last week. Got plus 150 for a quarter unit on the same game parlay there, looking for Mikhail Oleksiejczuk live. The reason why I say in round 1 or round 2 is because Abbas Magomedov has shit cardio. If this fight gets to the 3rd round, it's probably going to be a pick'em. And genuinely, I see it being a pick'em. I see the big swings either way will likely be from the 2-minute mark to the 8-minute mark if we make it that far. That's where I see the big momentum going, or swings in the momentum from one guy to the other, likely within the first round, honestly. I feel like it'll go either guy's way. If Abbas lands a takedown early on, he's going to jump to a huge favorite because he might finish the fight, he might get the submission, but if he can't, if Mikhail Oleksiejczuk keeps this fight on the feet, he's probably going to jump to a large favorite himself. There could be a round 1 finish for either guy. This could not come to fruition at all. That's why I kind of like the KO only for Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. It's kind of a bit of a safety net there in case he just runs right through Abbas Magomedov. It kind of covers it there. Kind of going on a rant here for this fight, but hopefully that all makes sense. It is getting late and I can feel my brain starting to shut down. It has been a long day, so bear with me for these breakdowns here. But anyway, next up, we got Ikram Askarov versus Bruno Ferreira. I got Bruno Ferreira round 1 knockout plus 1,000 on the odds, 0.1 units total. I thought about doubling down with Bruno Ferreira round 1 only. This line has not moved at all throughout the week. I might do it depending on the earlier fights, but as of now, just having it as an option that I'm still considering. Just haven't quite pulled the trigger on it yet. Get some crazy bet. I don't know if somehow Nursulton Ruziboev wins by sub, then I'll double down on this. But for now, I'm just letting it ride as it is. But I do have the bet placed on Bruno Ferreira round 1 knockout plus 1,000, 0.1 units. That's where I think his main path to victory is. I think Ikram Askarov is overrated. I think he's chinny. I don't love his striking defense. And if Bruno Ferreira connects on his chin when he is fresh and explosive in round 1, he's gonna go night-night. I don't see him eating bombs from Bruno. Now, there's a good chance that Bruno doesn't land that bomb. He gets taken down and absolutely wrestle-fucked over the course of maybe 15 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. Who knows? He could get finished. The main thing here is that I think Bruno Ferreira's main path to victory would be that round 1 knockout. It really makes no sense to take the money line. I'd much rather just take a stab on this early round 1 knockout prop and call it a day because we've seen his cardio does really start to fall off a cliff later into fights. I'm not going to trust that power to carry over. It could carry over into the second round. I thought about taking maybe a 0.05 unit play on the round 2 knockout. But at that point, I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to take a little stab on the round 1, call it a day, win or loss. But anyway, next up, we got Almakhan versus Charles Johnson. I've been this close to playing the Charles Johnson plus 5.5 alternate spread, but the line has been moving, so I'm waiting to try and get the best line possible. It was all the way up to 170, and then it jumped down to minus 160. Now it's actually currently at minus 150. Actually has gotten a little bit better. And it's continuing to move because Almakhan is becoming larger and larger of a favorite. He was like a minus 200. Now he's a minus 270 or something insane. It keeps continuing to widen, so I'm waiting to potentially take a stab on this depending on how far this line will move. Obviously, waiting to see because it's continuing to move even up until the time of me recording this video. So I'm waiting on that, but I'm not going to play anything too crazy on this. Maybe 0.25 units, maybe a little quarter unit there. Just something I'm looking out for. I do have a little bit of action later on this fight, so I'm not trying to overextend too far on this, playing it light. And that's kind of my theme overall this week. I'm really taking it light this week. I don't love a lot of the pre-fight stuff. I'm more so looking at this from a live betting opportunity. I think there's quite a few fights where there's going to be a lot of opportunities. I mean, shit, from even the Bekzat Almakhan versus Matsumoto, there's going to be good opportunities there. Daniil, if he starts to slow down, I could see this line tightening up in round 2 or round 3 if he can't get the finish there. Kaan Ofli versus Javier Reyes is going to be an absolute dumpster fire. I could see the line flipping both ways multiple times throughout that fight. Same with Ruziboev versus Pulyaev if this fight were to extend. Abdul, Rakhman, Yakhyaev. I don't see that really going that long. If it did, there's a chance there. Hasanov versus Nolan, I think that's a damn good spot too. I know I didn't put it here in blue, but I think Hasanov versus Nolan could be a good chance too, because we know a guy like Hasanov probably will slow down a tad throughout his fights, and if he can't land takedowns, this line is going to tighten up. If Hasanov cannot land takedowns in the first, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 minutes of this fight, he is screwed. So there could be a good opportunity there. There's a lot this card. I'm not trying to ramble on too long with this video here, but there's a lot of damn good opportunities. We talked about this one here with Mikhail Elizejczyk versus Magomedov. Ikram Aliskerov versus Bruno Ferreira. I don't see there being too many opportunities there. There could. I feel like it's going to be an early finish for either side, though. I think it's going to be probably a kind of like snowball effect. I think whichever guy is going to start out hot is going to continue that momentum. I don't see too many switches or changes in momentum going back and forth throughout this fight. Asu Almakhan versus Charles Johnson could be a good opportunity. I could see it here. You know, if Asu Almakhan cannot land the takedowns early on, that line will tighten. He still could win the fight, but the line will tighten if he cannot have wrestling success within that first round. But anyway, we are just freeballing this video right now. It's a long night, but we're getting through it. This is a sober breakdown too. I'm just genuinely tired. Like, this is a sober video, but it's a tired one. But anyway, next up, Nazim Sadykhov versus Mateusz Gamil. Nazim Sadykhov is my boy, and I want him to win. And I think this is a tricky fight for him in the sense of the betting side of things. I have him as the pick. I think he wins this fight. However, the reason why I don't have any, or I got a little bit of pre-action that we'll talk about here in a second, but the main reason why I'm not loading up on any pre-fight action, just got a couple tiny little stabs, is because I think this fight could tighten up on the odds. This is another good opportunity for a potential live bet, because I think Nazim Sadykhov likely will struggle in the first round. We've seen it time and time again. The man will struggle early on. He kind of is one of these guys where he bounces back later on in fights. You know, he's kind of a come from behind type of guy. We've seen it literally in multiple fights. The Nick Mota fight, he was struggling. You know, he nearly got finished. We saw against Evan Elder, he was losing that fight. We saw against Slava Klaus, he was losing that fight. Got the 10-8 round. It happens time and time and time again where he's struggling early on and he bounces back, and that's the perfect recipe for a live bet when he is the favorite. So I'm kind of waiting for this. I'm waiting for some adversity early on, because I think Canelo could present some adversity early into this fight, and I think he will slow. We've seen the cardio has been a problem for Canelo, so I think Nazim Sadykhov probably around the 3-minute mark to probably the 8-minute mark would be the sweet zone for this, for a Nazim Sadykhov live money line bet. But anyway, next up, Shara Magomedov versus Michel Pereira. I can't do it. I can't bring myself to place a bet on this fight purely for the sake of Michel Pereira. If he takes $1 from me, I will be extremely pissed off. So I'd rather not play anything. However, the one bit, I actually took it off for this video, but now I'm just going to put it back just for the memes. This is one that I was looking at. PTSD, that's what I'm going to call it here. Michel Pereira. 1+ takedowns. Don't quote me on this, but I think it's like -150. That's not a bad line. Michel Pereira can actually grapple, and against a guy like Shara, it's possible. We've seen guys like Mikhail Elizejczyk take the man down. Michel Pereira is a BJJ black belt. The man could probably do the same. I know he's not known for his wrestling per se, but against a guy like Shara, I don't really think he has great takedown defense. We haven't seen it really tested. They've been feeding him striker after striker after striker for a reason. I mean, you look at the man. He fought MVP, Marc-Andre Barriault. He fought Mikhail Elizejczyk. I know he fought Bruno Silva. I mean, the man has been fed striker after striker after striker after striker after striker against a guy like Michel Pereira, who actually can grapple a bit. He's not some D1 All-American wrestler. It's something I was considering. If the Abus Magomedov versus Michel Pereira fight did not exist, and the Kyle Dawkins fight did not exist versus Michel Pereira, I probably would have a quarter unit on this. But those two fights exist, and for that reason, I'm out. It's giving me PTSD. Next up, we got Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres in the main event of the evening. Now, got a little action in a parlay we'll talk about here in a second. But in terms of the singles, I have one play, Manuel Torres, sub-only, KO decision, no action. Rafael Fiziev is a Muay Thai striker. The man does not want to grapple. He wants to stand and bang on the feet. Manuel Torres has a tricky guillotine. He's actually a decent submission grappler overall. I think he has the clear finishing upside in this fight when it comes to the overall submission abilities from both fighters. Submission grappling, rather. From -165, this was a no-brainer for me. 0.25 units. Took it easy, something light. Obviously, if there is a KO or a decision, you get a refund on your money here. So I think for the line, it's totally worth a stab, in my opinion. Now, for the play of the week. Got nothing this week, boys. I'm sorry. There's nothing standing out to me. There's nothing that's really the one that's standing out to me, because these were basically all the potential options I was looking at. I was considering all these, but there's not one that stands out amongst the others that really is the one that I think is the best that I want to double down on. I got a couple plays. It's just more so I got Abdul, Rakhman, Yakhyaev in as an anchor almost in a couple of these that I do like. And I got a couple other lines that we're going to talk about here. First up being Abdullayev versus Johnson over 2.5 rounds. I like this line quite a bit. Charles Johnson, he's been knocked out once. That was against, damn you, Alex Perez. Damn you, Alex Perez. It was against Alex Perez. It's the first time he's ever been finished as a professional. Alex Perez's fat ass came in overweight, hurt him on the feet. Also, Almakhan is a wrestler. He is not going to hurt Charles Johnson on the feet. I don't see it happening, and I don't see him submitting Charles Johnson either. You know, Alex Perez shot himself right into a guillotine. That was a bit of a unique situation. But also, Almakhan is not trying to, hunt for submissions. He is a wrestler. He's taking guys down, racking up control time. I see this fight going over. Honestly, I feel like Charles Johnson is more alive to possibly knock out Asu Almakhan than he would be to probably submit him. Charles Johnson has never been submitted. He's gone against elite wrestlers and grapplers like a Muhammad Mokaev in the past. I don't see him getting submitted. If he has not been submitted yet throughout his career, I don't see Asu Almakhan being the guy to actually submit him. I just don't see it. I could see him losing a decision through control time, like we've seen from Charles Johnson in the past, but the submission defense from Charles Johnson has never once been an issue for me in his entire career. So I see this fight going over. I'm okay with playing it as a parlay piece, -164 in the odds, quarter unit there. Next up, Fiziev versus Torres under 3.5 rounds. This speaks for itself. We got crash out versus crash out. I think Manuel Torres is going to get a vicious round 1 knockout, but even if it doesn't, if it goes long, or hell, he could get finished in the first round too. I don't see this fight going very long. Manuel Torres has not gone out of the first round since, 2019 or something heinous. I mean, the man is an absolute menace. He's a demon. And I think this is no exception. I think he's going to honestly pay no respect to a guy like Fiziev. I think he's going to walk him down and tee off on him within the first 30 to 60 seconds of this fight. So under 3.5, call me soft if you want. That's what I'm parlaying up for a quarter unit, -167 on the odds. Because I could see them maybe having some respect for each other in the first round, maybe. Because we saw, in his last fight, Manuel Torres did show some restraint. He didn't come out like a full-blown crash out like some of his previous fights. Maybe he's going to take a little bit of a slower pace just because it is a 5-rounder. That could happen. It could happen. But statistically, I'm going with the trend. I'm going to ride with the crash out. But anyway, next up, we got Nursulton Ruziboev +5.5 alt spread and Nazim Sadikov +7.5 alt spread. Nazim Sadikov, I know he got finished in his last fight, but he is a damn durable guy. You got to kill him to get him out of there. And Mateus Camillo is not just knocking dudes out. He's a grappler. He's looking to take guys down and control them. I don't worry about Nazim Sadikov getting submitted in this spot. I think if he were to get finished somehow, I feel like the more likely outcome would be him getting hit with some nuke somehow, some crazy shot that rocks him, as opposed to him getting choked out by a guy like Mateus Camillo. I don't see it. And then for Nursulton Ruziboev, same thing here. I know he got rocked in his fight against Dustin Stoltzfus, but that was a head clash. It wasn't like he just ate some bomb from Dustin. It was a foul, or not necessarily a foul, but there should have been a break there in the action. The ref didn't see it. And that was when we saw him get wobbled. But besides that, the man is pretty damn durable. He's not really getting knocked out. He's not getting subbed. So I think either of these guys, I think there's a reality where they could lose a decision, but I don't see them getting finished. I'd be really surprised if either of these guys were to get finished. So that's why I took the alt spreads, because I parlayed them up, got a little bit safer there. -128 in the odds, 0.25 units. And then finally, we got Nursulton Ruziboev +3.5 alt spread, like we talked about, with Daniil Donchenko. I think Daniil Donchenko should win. It's not the smartest play, honestly. The money line is wide. The value is beyond shot. I'm just kind of, biting the bullet, going for a little quarter unit play. If somehow he shits the bed, I'm not overextended, but at the same time, he should win the damn fight. But anyway, lastly, we got Bekzat Almakhan plus 7.5 alt spread with Abdul Rakhman Yakhyaev money line. This is the thing I was talking about. I got it just down here just because this is one I added a little bit later. Originally, I wanted nothing to do with this fight, but the line has continued to widen and widen and widen. And now Matsumoto is like a minus 180 favorite or something crazy. Not going to get to the point where I'm playing a Bekzat money line. I could see him getting controlled and taken down in this spot. But I'll tell you what, I don't see him getting finished. And I think he has enough in him to win at least one round across the judges' scorecards. So I parlayed up the plus 7.5 alt spread with Abdul Rakhman Yakhyaev minus 179 on the odds, 0.25 units total. But anyway, guys, that does it for the video, for the best bets video. Apologize. It's a bit of a crazy video. Not crazy like a wild video, but I am very tired. This is a tired video. But we're getting it out. The grind don't stop. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe if you're new. If you like any bets, let me know. If you don't like any, let me know. If there's any bets you guys like in particular this week that I missed, drop it in the comments. Let me know. And thank you guys once again for all the videos, or all the love on the videos. I'm going to see you guys here soon. We got to wake up early at 9 a.m. for these fights. We're going to be active in the Discord tomorrow morning. If you haven't joined the Discord, it's in the description. It's linked below. We're going to be talking all through the fights, so make sure to join that. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Thank you guys once again for all the love on the videos. It's your boy Jacob from Topside MMA, and I'm out, so peace.